Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I am Chris Clements.
Today we have got a special guest. We have Congressman Andy Biggs, live from D.C.
He's been in the news quite a bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Congressman, you are mounting a what would be considered a tough challenge for the speakership against Kevin McCarthy. How have we gotten here?
So some might say it's a chaotic quest, and that's fair. Look, you don't have many opportunities to actually change the trajectory of a place like the United States House of Representatives, which then would have an impact on policy. But this is one of those. So a couple of years ago, when we were in the minority, a number of people were saying, well, maybe we should change our leadership because they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And, and Sean, you've worked there, you know about how this goes. We haven't done a budget in 25 years.
Yeah.
And that's led a move from, it was $18 trillion deficit when I came to Congress. It was probably $11 trillion or somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe $8 trillion, I think it was 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now it's 31 and will probably be, if you really get the real numbers, look like closer to 33. So you have to change something. And following the Budget Control Act of 1974, that'd be a good thing.
Right.
And we can't get our leader to do anything like that. He won't leverage anything. While the three of us are talking, I don't know when you're going to air this, but while the three of us are talking, there is a suspension bill on the floor. For most people that don't understand that means that you don't have a normal voting process. Yeah. It's an accelerated process to spend $885 billion on military and woke a Green New Deal apparatus in that bill and export that around the world. It's the National Defense Authorization Act running on suspension. Could you have ever imagined that in your time working in Congress, Sean?
I could. Yeah, it is astounding. I mean, to have the defense bill come up with no rules, or with the rule that says there's no amendments, we are all you get a chance. It's an up or down vote, period. Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's interesting because there's been a number of people who've reached out to me and said, what is Congressman Biggs thinking? And, obviously I worked for Congressman Shadegg, who also mounted a challenge against the establishment in leadership when he ran against Roy Blunt. Now, in that case, it was when DeLay stepped down, so it was for whip, and Blunt was kind of seen as the heir apparent. Shadegg got in the race. It was Shadegg, Boehner, and Blunt. Shadegg drove it to a second ballot. Blunt believed he was going to get it on the first vote. It didn't. So Boehner had played a second ballot strategy, and that's how they ended up with Boehner as the whip at the time, and then became leader and then speaker. This is a little bit more of a challenge for you because it's a straight up, and it's going to be on the floor. It's not. You've already done the caucus vote, right?
Yeah. So the way this works, and a lot of people don't realize how it works, is you go to the floor, they call your name, and you have to stand up and say the last name, the surname of the individual you are voting for to be Speaker of the House. Every Democrat will vote for Hakeem Jeffries. He'll get 212 votes. Mm-hmm. And everybody says, well, then that's going to, you guys, if you get 20 people off Kevin McCarthy when you only have 222 votes, 223 votes, maybe, then Hakeem wins. And that's not how it works, because the way it works on a speaker's race is all the denominator. So what's in the denominator? You have to get to 218 at 435 vote. McEachin just passed away on the Democrat side, so that actually lowers the denominator by 0.5 point, but it's still roughly the same. You have to get to 218 right now as we speak. And so people say, well, you're going to get a Democrat. No, you're not going to get a Democrat, because in order to get a Democrat, you would either need to have Republicans cross over and vote overtly for Hakeem Jeffries, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
Or you're going to have to get people vote present. And in order to vote present, you're going to need 15 to 20 Republicans to simply vote present in order to help Hakeem Jeffries. So now they're devising, say, well, how many Democrats do we have to get Hakeem there? You would need somewhere in the order of 50. Oh, this is to help McCarthy, because the rumor is McCarthy's working with some Democrats to try to get there.
Right.
You would need the order of 50 Democrats to vote present in order to get Kevin McCarthy home, because you would reduce that denominator so much. I mean, we've done the math on this. But here's the deal: Hakeem Jeffries is the Congressional Black Caucus's champion, and they've wanted something like this for a good decade or more, and they're not going to let Hakeem Jeffries be embarrassed by people walking across the aisle in order to get Kevin McCarthy. I mean, it's all of the scenarios that are out there that are the scare tactics are actually just that. They're scare tactics.
Yeah. Well, and this is a great example of how deeply ingrained the establishment is in Washington. It is remarkable because, a lot, if you're looking from the outside and you don't know anything about the inner workings of Congress, you're thinking, well, Kevin McCarthy, he's a Trump guy. He's how could he be a bad guy? Well, I mean, he's not a bad guy, but he is, there is so much that needs to happen on a policy front that people don't understand on the inner workings of Congress that you've pointed out. I mean, the fact that you haven't had a budget for many years, the fact that we've gone from, I remember when Bush, there was like a doubling of the national debt under Clinton and then under Bush and then under Obama. And I was like, oh my gosh, it can't get much worse. It's Trump. 3 times what it was when Trump, I left there. Biden. 3 times. Yeah. Like you said, $33 trillion. I mean, it was $11 trillion when I left working there in 2000.
And then everybody runs on, we need to get back to regular order, but nobody has the guts to really make it happen.
Right. That's exactly right. So I mean, think about it. I could probably count on one hand the number of times I said the word trillion before I came to Congress.
You're right.
You'd never thought about that. I mean, but it's just going and monumentally so. So we've put out things like how would you fix this place? Well, you would actually get back to a single subject rule. Mm-hmm. We've got this NDAA bill, and I was talking about some of the Green New Deal stuff and all that are in there, but the Democrats, they want to put H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act bill, into this bill, National Defense Authorization Act. They want on suspension vote.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, we've gotten so far away of actually being able to transparently represent our people. By the way, and it's both sides, and this is the problem. It's both sides. So Kevin McCarthy, who I don't have anything against him personally, he's just not the guy for this time or this job. He has been in leadership for 12 years, and nothing has changed. But when you start looking at it, you could fix a lot of this by allowing us just, I don't know, have an open rule on the floor so you could actually bring amendments to the floor.
Right.
We haven't done that in more than 6 years. The entire time I've been in Congress, you cannot bring an amendment to the floor unless it's made in order.
That is unbelievable.
And then I was listening to an interview with Kevin, I think yesterday, and he was asked, what's your biggest accomplishment when you've been in Congress? He was crowing about the fact he's gotten more Republicans elected than most people have, and I was like,
that's
you really
haven't.
That's not really an accomplishment. It's not really up to you. And by the way, we're in a big mess. How are you going to fix the mess?
Right.
How are you going to use your power if you are Speaker to fix the mess?
Well, and I think that Congressman Biggs, I think that what you hit on with the allowing Congress is there to deliberate, to debate. I mean, you don't get a chance to do that when leadership decides to write the bills, put it through the Rules Committee, take it to the floor, and says, these are the 2 or 3 amendments that can be in order, or it's on suspension. There are no amendments allowed. It doesn't give the American people any chance to kind of see, where do my people stand? Because it forces Republicans or Democrats, depending on who's in power, to say, well, I can't vote no because it's got so much good stuff, but it's all got a bunch of crap in it too. I mean, it just doesn't give people a chance to see the nuance of what's happening with the policies in our country.
Well, think of it this way. I believe personally that this is designed to do two things. Number one, the leadership has control and power. Okay, so they get that, and they want that, and everybody wants a little power, I guess. But it gives them that authority. But the second thing is, it insulates people from having to take responsibility.
Exactly.
In fact, that's what I'm told is that Kevin says, well, we've got members who don't want to vote on this. They don't want to have to take these hard votes on the floor. Well, good grief. That's why you were elected.
Right. Why did you even run if you didn't want to take hard votes?
It's sort of like what's going on in the Senate with the whole budget anyway, with like, do we do a CR or we do an omnibus? It's like, well,
I think
we can clear the decks and we don't have to take any hard votes for the rest of the year if we do a big budget bill. And all the Democrats get everything they want.
Because it's the, say no but hope yes mentality.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right?
That's a joke.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, think about it. The biggest leverage that you have in a divided government or when you're in the minority is the spending, the budget.
Yeah.
And by doing an omnibus bill that's going to last till basically the start of the next presidential election cycle, you just given away all the major thrust of our leverage against this administration.
Yeah.
And they're doing it and in such a way that it's going to add to the deficit, structural deficit, add to the national debt, give you a bunch of programs that nobody wants. And then when it's time to bring it back together, they're going to go back into the CRs. And they're going to say, well, now we're in this election cycle. Heavens, we can't, both sides will say we can't, put this on to our presidential candidates. So we're just going to do CRs.
Yeah.
And you just go, well, this place is, it seems irredeemably broken, but I don't think it's irredeemably broken. I think it can be fixed, but it takes somebody, whoever it is at the top, just come in and say, look, we're going to start dismantling and democratizing, decentralizing power from the four corners here, which is the leaders in the House and the Senate, and get it back to committee chairs and members of the committees so they can do their work and represent people and be held accountable.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
We will be watching with interest how things play out, Congressman, and we
too.
wish you luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Wish you luck. Thanks for representing Arizona the way you do, and thanks for your service to our country. I mean, this is a tough stance that I think you're making, and you're getting all the slings and arrows for it too.
Well,
but it's a fight worth having.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out.
We appreciate you taking the time. We'll check in later.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
God bless.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.